K-pop is often celebrated for its talent, discipline, and global success. But there is a question that becomes harder to ignore the more closely we look at the industry. Why are so many idols debuting as children? This video argues that the debut of minors in K-pop is not simply about discovering young talent. It is also a business strategy that normalizes the commercialization of youth, where children are shaped, marketed, and controlled to meet industry demands. At first, young idols are often framed as inspiring. They are seen as talented, hardworking, and lucky to achieve success early. But this framing hides something important. Minors in K-pop are not just performing. They are working in an environment defined by intense schedules, constant public attention, and strict expectations about appearance and behavior. They are judged not only on skill, but also on how well they can maintain a marketable image. What makes this more concerning is how normal it has become. Instead of asking whether children should be placed in this system, the discussion often shifts to whether they're talented enough to succeed. That shift is significant. It changes the focus from protecting children to evaluating their performance. This issue becomes especially clear in the controversy surrounding the audition show Under 15. The show featured participants as young as 8 years old. What drew criticism was not only their age, but also the way they were presented. Many viewers felt they were styled and trained in the ways that made them look less like children and more like miniature adult entertainers. That reaction matters because it reveals where public discomfort begins to surface. At the same time, it raises a deeper question. If this feels wrong, why have similar patterns already become so easy to accept in other parts of the industry? The problem is not limited to one television show. It reflects a broader system where children are prepared early to fit entertainment industry expectations. Their youth is not protected. Instead, it becomes part of what makes them appealing and profitable. In other words, being young is not just a personal characteristic. It becomes part of the product itself. Research on child idols supports this point. It suggests that the child idol is not a rare exception, but part of a larger structure in which children are shaped early into marketable performers. Their visibility, charm, personality, and online presence are all developed in ways that support industry goals. This makes early debut less about opportunity and more about efficiency. Younger idols are easier to train, easier to adapt, and easier to fit into a company's image. From a business perspective, that may seem efficient, but that same logic reveals something uncomfortable. The system is not only producing talent, it is also producing compilants. When children are placed into that kind of system, the issue is no longer about performance. It becomes about how much power the industry has over individuals who are still developing emotionally, socially, and personally. This concern is also reflected in legal responses. The South Korean government proposed a law to reduce overwork among underage idols, protect their education, and limit harmful appearance-based demands. That alone shows how serious the issue has become. Laws like this are usually proposed only when there is already a clear problem. That is why this issue should not be dismissed as a few isolated cases. It suggests that the problem is structural. The industry has already pushed minors far enough that legal intervention became necessary. So, in the end, I do not think the question is simple: how young is too young? The deeper question is what kind of industry K-pop wants to be. Right now, it presents youth as something beautiful, fresh, and inspiring. But at the same time, it also turns youth into something profitable. And once youth become a product, it stops being protected in the way it should be. K-pop has become a major global cultural force, but if it wants to be taken seriously on the level, it cannot continue treating childhood as something flexible enough to fit market demands. At that point, the success story starts to look very different. If K-pop wants to keep celebrating youth, it also needs to be willing to protect them.